Alrighty, well, welcome. I think we've got one person on. How you doing? Trying this green screen thing out, so not sure if it's going to work out, but it looks okay on my other screen. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully the audio is okay too. Right now I'm working on adding a rescue dungeon to our game. So the rescue dungeon is regular dungeons. You have to kill the boss and get the main treasure, and then you win. Rescue dungeon, you have to rescue a certain number of trapped people or kittens or whatever. So the basics of it are already done. I'm just kind of switching it up a little bit, and I'm making the user interface a little more clear. So. I'm also, I have switched from developing on my Mac to developing on my Windows. It's actually still on my Mac, but I'm running Windows now on it. I got sick and tired of mono develop on Mac, which is terrible. Okay, where was I? I'm working on. Okay, so I updated the number of keys. Basically, when you, every thing that's you're rescuing from the dungeon has a boss guarding them. So you kill the boss, you get a key, use that key to unlock the cage. Right now, the keys, as soon as you pick up the key, it's automatically unlocking the cage. So I'm changing that so that you get the key and then walk over next to the cage and then it'll unlock it. So that's what I'm working on now. So I just changed it so we keep track of the fact that I picked up a key, and I'm going to make it so that, oh, this keyboard's driving me crazy. These guys will no longer, the monsters themselves were the ones that were listening for the event. We're using an event-based system to pass things around. And there was basically this status effect that was removing the monster from the cage. Probably none of this makes any sense because, you know, it's our code, but just try to follow along. All right, so now let's just try where we are so far. sure what it's doing. Turn down the music. It's a little loud. Right now you can only turn down the music from the main screen. That's probably a lot better. Alright. So now we'll go back in, try to rescue some kittens. So you can see in the user interface I've added the number of keys you found and the number of kittens. I'm not sure how this is going to work out in the final user interface, but I'm just showing it for now. I'm pretty sure one of the lost kittens is down here. Let me kill these guys real quick. A lot of discard runes. Yeah. So there's the boss just spawned. The guy in the cage is down there at the bottom. You can't really see him. He's behind the cards. So I gotta kill these guys off. And make sure not to die either. So I should pay attention to what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to stop the game here. I'm going to make a copy of my save game file so that I don't have to keep playing back to this point every time. And then I'm going to make sure that when I kill the boss and he drops a key and I pick it up, that the UI updates. That's what I've been working on. So this is the mini boss that has the key. I've got only melee items, so need him to come closer. That'll kill him, that's good. Alright, so he dropped a key, that's good. That was a tombstone for another character that died that had gotten to this point. So there's my kitten in a cage. So hopefully when I get the key, the kitten should not be released. But my EUI should update to say I have a key. Hey, so that works. So the kitten's not released, I now have a key. So now the next thing I need to do is, once I get within a 1 square proximity of a prisoner and I have a key, to let that prisoner go. So that's what I'm going to work on now. So what I need to do is hook into the hero movement, and basically every time a hero moves, I need to check to see if he is now standing next to a monster or a prisoner. Oopsie. So I'm going to get a list of map squares that are adjacent to the hero's current location. So this method will get invoked for my listener here. Oh, I need to remember to do one other thing, is to remove this listener. You remove both of these listeners when we're cleaning up. All right, so this method returns all of the map squares in the world map, or in the dungeon map, that are adjacent to whatever you pass in. In this case, it's the hero's map square. So now I'm going to go through those. And see if any of them are prisoners. So is there a being present? Let's see. So prisoner is a type of monster that basically doesn't do anything. So he just is on the map. He's non-targetable by the player. He's passive. Basically, he's just there so that all the mechanics of something being rendered on the map correctly are there. For now, we're just going to have you rescue the creature and it'll just sort of disappear. We've thought about maybe you have to lead the things that you rescue back to the beginning of the dungeon. So that's why they're monsters in the game. Sorry, I'm just checking over here on the stream to see who's watching. So I've got a thing, I've got a prisoner, so now I need to check that I actually have a key. Oh, nice. Yep. All right. So I'm using Visual Studio now with ReSharper. So a lot of these little warnings that are coming up are ReSharper telling me I can make my code better. My day job is a Java developer, so we use IntelliJ, which is JetBrains IDE for Java. And so I've come very used to leaning on it for helping me write better code, and ReSharper for Visual Studio is amazing. So let's see, so if I've got some keys, then I want to use one of the keys. And then I want to free the prisoner. So use a key, increment my prisoners. So first I'm going to make sure all this works. And then I'm probably going to go back and add an animation for the actual rescuing the prisoners. But if everything works for now, I should be able to rescue the prisoner, and he's just going to disappear from the map. So for now, I'm just going to kill the monster, which probably isn't right. It's probably not exactly what I want to do, but it should do what I want. All right. So, right, I need to whoopsie. I'm a little clumsy in Windows. It's because I'm still getting used to it again. I use Mac OS X almost all of the time, so I'm still getting used to Windows again. Okay, so now I should be back where I was. I forgot I need to re-kill the boss. So I'll grab the key. Now I've got one key. Now when I come down here, as soon as I get into this square, he should go away. And he did. Okay, the last thing, I forgot to update the user interface as the last thing. So I'll update num keys and update prisoners rescued. All right, now it's going to do everything I want it to do. I should probably save the game after I kill the boss so I don't have to keep killing him every time. Okay, so I've got one key and 0 out of 3 kittens rescued. Now I've rescued one kitten and I have 0 keys. Excellent, that appeared to work. I'm going to go ahead and commit that code. One thing that I always like to do when I'm working is I reach a point where something works, I'll do an incremental commit. I use Git for version control, so it's possible to go back and squash those commits down before I push it up, but I usually don't bother because it's a very small team, so Alright, so now if I screw something up, I've always got this point to come back to. I am going to test one other thing. I'm going to make sure everything persists properly. Oops. Basically, if you've gotten a key but you haven't yet rescued the thing that needs to be rescued, it should remember that you've got the key when you come back and play the game. So I just need to make sure all that works as well. Here we are. Kill this guy like 100 times. Okay, so I'm going to grab the key and then quit the game. And then restart, and it should update the user interface to indicate that I still have a key. It does. So now, that's funny. When monsters die, they have a chance of dropping loot, so the prisoner died and left me some stuff. Actually, that's maybe not a bad idea. It's kind of fun. All right, so that all works. I'm going to have to excuse myself for a quick second. How do you make stuff bigger on Windows? Anyway, well, I'll be right back. All right, sorry everyone. Nature calls sometimes. What are you gonna do? Welcome to any new folks that have come. Just to keep you up to date, I'm working on adding a rescue dungeon. We've done a bunch of work so far on getting this working, so I'm now working on actually rescuing the things from the dungeon. So I think that's all in pretty good shape. The keys are getting persisted, the prisoners are there, so now I just need to probably find a way to kill the monster and then add an animation when you rescue the kitten. And I've got a kind of an idea for the animation. We've got when you first see a boss. It's actually not, I wonder why that's not playing. Sorry, when you first see a boss or a mini boss, there's an animation that plays. Which actually is not happening. So I may take a slight detour and figure out why that isn't happening when the mini boss spawns. I'm going to do that. I'm going to close all this. First I'm going to figure out why that animation didn't play when the mini boss. There we go. The other thing I've been doing is, since I've switched over to Windows, the code formatter that's built into MonoDevelop for Mac is terrible. So I haven't done a great job at formatting the code, and I've actually been, it's one of the things that's really frustrated me. So as I've been touching files, I've been reformatting them to be more standard C# syntax. And it's really nice. The reformatter that's built into ReSharper will also sort of do a bunch of code cleanup stuff, like it added this read-only flag because it realized that monster was a read-only field. And so it does the code formatting and it does some code cleanup. It changes every references that where things were. This was probably a float before. Well, let's just see what it was. Yeah, so all these things down here that are being assigned to particular types, it does the shortcut var assignment. And again, this is just my background in Java programming. I'm used to doing this. So I can't stop my fingers sometimes. So I'm trying to get in the habit of using the shortcut var when I can. What just happened? I'm not sure why that's not working. There we go. So you can see it changed all those things to vars. So when does this play? My keyboard mappings are messed up, it looks like. Oh, no, it doesn't. There it is. So announce boss. So that happens when all right, so probably what I need to do is, so this happens when reveal map square is called when you open the door to a room and you see the room for the first time. So it basically, as it's revealing the map, it checks to see if any of them are bosses, and if they are, then it plays this announcement for the boss animation. So what I'm going to do is when we spawn a boss or spawn any monster, I'm going to also maybe play this announcement. So that happens in so I'm going to make this public because I don't want to repeat this code in the monster manager. Reformat this code to so after it does all of this, this is when a new monster is spawned. I'm going to do it for if it's summoned. I'm going to say if monster is boss or I'm only going to do this if the map square has been revealed, which I have to remember how that works. I think there's a there it is, has player seen. That's what I was looking for. So if the player hasn't seen that map square, right, not hasn't seen, has seen. If the monster, so, all right, so this will, if I'm summoning a boss or mini-boss, and the player has already seen the map square, then I have to play the announcement because the thing that would reveal the map square and play the announcement isn't going to happen. So let's see what happens here. You need to start that dungeon over again. Rescue my 3 kittens. So I'm gonna have to play through this part again, where I kill these guys. So what should happen down here is, as soon as I open this door, it should reveal the room, the mini boss should spawn, and it should play the announcement. And that worked perfectly. Excellent. Okay. Okay, so that's good. So let's go back to what we were doing, which was rescue dungeon manager. So one thing we should also fix, and we'll come back to that later, I'm actually going to add that to our list. We use Trello to manage all of our to-do items, so as I think of things, I add it to this things to ponder list, and then maybe they'll make it onto something we actually do or not. The problem is we have way too much to do and we keep coming up with new ideas, so if we want to ever finish the game, we have to stop coming up with new ideas. But I think that's the problem with every game developer ever, is managing the scope of your game is hard. And one of the things with a game like ours, like the fact that there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of complexity, it's what people like about roguelikes, is that there's a lot of different things going on. So really trying to find that balance between a lot of interesting things happening and us finishing the game. Should prisoners... So until I figure that out, I'm going to make the prisoners not drop loop. And I think, yeah, should drop treasure. That is a method. All right, I'm just going to override that for now. Like I said, I'll probably come back to this. There's nobody chatting in the chat room today. Okay, so now prisoners will not drop loot. All right, so the last thing I want to do is just add a little animation for rescuing a kitty or rescuing whatever it is. I'm going to kind of steal the boss animation. I think I'm going to want to do the same thing. Zoom the camera to where the creature you've rescued is. Enlarge them and place some sort of glowing background to them, and then maybe add some text that says something about how awesome you are for rescuing the kitty or whatever it is. So this is the animation that does the boss thing, and I think I want to do almost everything this guy does. And here I am struggling with Visual Studio a little bit, so I apologize. I want the Solution Explorer. I'm going to make a prisoner rescued animation. I'm just going to copy this guy over here. The reason I'm copying it instead of subclassing is I think I'm going to change it enough that what they'll end up sharing by the end is probably only incidental. Excuse me. Pardon me. So this stuff is some text, which I may want to keep some of it. I'm going to keep, this starts the music playing for the mini boss, so I don't want that. But I probably do want to say something like, so that'll say, sad kitten rescued, and it'll announce it in text. It'll zoom in. It'll fade the dungeon. It'll grow the monster. It'll reset everything. And then really what I want to do is at the end of the animation, this is where I want the monster to disappear from the map. So I will call what I was doing here, instead of doing this here, I'm going to do it in the animation so that the monster disappears in sync with the animation. So the animation plays, it gets done, and then the monster disappears. Welcome, people that joined. I'm working on an animation right now for when you rescue a trapped prisoner from the dungeon. And I'm going to want to add a glow here too. And I'm probably just going to steal the glow from the treasure that we have. So I'll have to go make a new particle for that dude in a minute. All right, so let's just try this and see how it looks. I need to fire this animation. That's the one last thing I need to do. So rescue. Yeah, instead of that, I want to do this. All right, so I think that should get our animation in play. Let's see what he looks like. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna use the other save game that already has all that stuff killed. How's everyone doing today? You should chat or something. I feel like I'm just talking to myself. It's a little weird. I mean, I am talking to myself, but... Alright, so for the billionth time, we'll kill this guy. We'll drop a key. And then we should see our animation play right now. Sad kitten rescued. Ta-da! Alright, that was perfect, except the cage should disappear. And we need to add a glow behind the kitten to make it more awesome. Because everything that's glowing is better. So, in order for the cage to disappear, let's see. I think this is what it wanted me to do earlier, which is pull this guy out, so I'll just do that. So now he is a prisoner, right? So I can say monster.status. Alright, so it's this status effect that's on the monster that makes the cage appear. So what I'm going to do is just remove that. Monster.remove status effect. Well, you know, it might be easier just to do that other method. Remove. Let's see what that guy does. I think that does this what I want it to. It does. So that makes sense. We're about to kill the monster anyway, so we might as well remove all the status effects. That'll save the trouble of finding the one I want to remove and just remove them all. Alright, let's see how that looks. Oops, that's too many ends. I'll have to kill this boss dude again. key. Sad kitten rescued. And then he disappears. Okay, that looks a little better. All right, so I think for the last bit, I'm going to add the glow. So this is sort of a test scene I've got in Unity that it's kind of a sandbox as I'm doing different visual effects. I'll usually load this guy up. So there's just a bunch of garbage on here. So let's see, I want light rays, is this the one? I may already have this. One moment, please. I'm getting an important text. Okay, I'm done. So let's see what this guy is. Sorry, I'm getting everything set back up. Nope, that's not it. Yeah, that's pretty much what I want. It's the same one that shows when I do loot, so I might change this later. So I'm going to just copy this guy. Yeah, okay. Get rid of the word loot. Might get rid of those stars too. Yeah, I think I will. So if we were rescuing an elf, it would look something like that. I think I want it to last a little longer because all right, I think that's going to be good enough for now. This is something you could spend hours and hours tweaking these effects. And really what I'm trying to do for these earlier, the game's in early access right now, so I'm just trying to get enough visual effects in so that it looks decent. And those are the kinds of things that we're going to go through and do a lot of tweaking on once the main functionality of the game is done. So we'll get it all working first and then make it look great later. Although we want it to look good now too. So I'll make this guy a prefab. And then add him to my animation. This guy, yeah, that's what I want. So prisoner rescue. So basically we're going to zoom the camera and then fade out the whole dungeon. And then right here, before we start growing the monster, we want to play the animation that I just did. I'm totally in the wrong thing. Okay, so this will, at the monster's current position, 10 pixels behind him, play the rescue glow. So let's see how that works. Make sure I've got my proper version of the save file in. Okay, that looked kind of cool, except it needs to be moved up. So I need to move it a little further in the Y direction. So basically I'm going to move it up to be centered. The tiles are, I can't remember how high they are, 40 pixels tall. So however tall they are, it'll move it up halfway so it's in the center of the map square where the monster is. Let's try that. In a second here, I'm going to turn off my camera and eat a quick sandwich, and then I'll turn the camera back on, but I'll still be here working on stuff. I'll do that after I get this working the way I want it. Okay, so I've got a key. Oops. That is not correct. So I'm guessing that it's going in the wrong direction. Did I not just I Control Z? Now, let me look at this real quick. So scene transition. So I just want to see where it's moving the... Does it leave the monster in its current position? So it fades in the scene transition sprite, which basically is the semi-transparent background. It grows the monster, but it doesn't move the monster. Yeah, I think that was right. I think it was... I should not have been minusing there. I should have been plussing. So what you spend most of your time doing when you're doing game development is fixing bugs like plus or minus, reversing the signs of things. Poor snail, I've killed him like 100 times. That glow is actually on top of the loot bag. You know, that's probably not even right where it is either. Much better. Yeah, that loot bag really should be behind the loot bag also, not in front of it. So I'm going to fix that also, because I happen to have it open. It's the same problem. Alright, we'll fix this and then I'll commit this and we'll be done with the prisoner rescue. And then the last thing I need to do is make sure that you can oh, got too many copies. Last thing I need to make sure is that you can actually win a dungeon. Once you rescue the third thing that's you've been tasked to rescue, it should end the game. So I know when this guy dies, he drops loot. So we'll just use him as our way of checking that loot animation. Nope, that did not fix that. I think I know why. Alright, I'm not going to worry about that, but I am going to make a note of it. Alright, so I got that done. Now I'm going to turn the camera off. If it'll let me, it will. And it's actually still recording, so that's good. So now you can actually hear me eat, which is probably not very exciting, but I'll try to eat quick. Alright, in the meantime, What's next for the rescue dungeon? Don't leave that open. Okay, I'm back. There we go. Okay. So one thing I've been thinking about is I don't particularly like the way the keys are showing up in the user interface. So I think I'm going to fix that. Instead of showing the keys like this, where it shows blah, blah, blah times 2, I'm just going to show have an actual key. So if you have 3 keys, then there'll be 3 key graphics. It's unlikely that you would ever get 3 keys because it's odd. You get a key, the boss that you killed to get that key is right next to the prisoner. So you would have to not go rescue them right away, which I suppose is possible. So let me take care of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this text. And I think I'm going to swap the keys and the creatures. Move those guys up. And one thing I need to make sure of is that I'm not moving it too far up. because you have to rescue other things. You have to like rescue townspeople and like this is the chief of the warrior guild that you have to rescue at some point to unlock. One of the missions in the campaign is going to be unlocking the different buildings, and you're going to unlock some of them by rescuing the headmasters of those particular buildings. Let's see. Maybe this should be underneath, actually, because then, yeah, I like that. Yeah, and then I'll put the keys next to him. So I'm going to scoot this guy over. All right, so I like that. That looks good. Move the key up, and I'm going to rotate it. Just going to create a parent game object here and then put several keys. Sorry, I need to fix one of my mappings here. Yeah, that did it. It's key 1, key 2, key 3. I don't know that we've decided how many monsters are going to be, or how many prisoners are going to be in a dungeon. Ah, I totally did that wrong. I want them to all be at the same Y, and then at different X's. So 80, 90, no, 100? Sure. All right, I'm going to say 3 keys is enough for now. I can't imagine why anyone would keep all the keys. And right now, well, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and allow more. I'm not sure how many prisoners we're going to have, but hey, wow, Unity 5 has some cool stuff. It's automatically, as I'm pasting these, it's renumbering them. That's neat. All right, I'm going to go with 6 keys. We'll say that that's the most people you'll ever have to rescue in a dungeon. All right, so now I need to change this guy to basically be aware of so he's not going to have a num keys anymore. he's just going to have a bunch of sprites. And then the thing that updates the keys will activate them. And probably I'll add a little animation. When you find a key, it'll like bobble into place over there, like punch or something, so that you get a visual clue that something happened. But for now, I'm just going to make sure it all shows up correctly. What did I call that? Keys, key sprites. Let's do that. Nope. Treating this like a list when it's an array. Bad programmer. All right, so this should set the appropriate number of keys active when I pick up the keys. So the last thing I need to do is wire this all up in the editor. So the Rescue Dungeon Manager now needs a, as soon as he's done here, it needs a list of key sprites, 6 long. Alright, so let's see how that looks. I may need to move these down a bit, actually, because a lot of the probably align it with the bottom of the dude. It looks a little odd. I don't know. We'll see. All right, let's see how that looks. Need to scoot down. I guess my head's getting chopped off. Okay, so that updated correctly. It might be almost off the screen. And that did not work. So my logic is clearly just wrong. Let's see. So I want to set it active if index is less than the number of key found. So I have less than or equal to. Yeah, I think that's right. So actually I should just be able to load this back up and then the key should appear then my green screen's messed up. I guess the light changed in here. There we go. It's because I moved the camera. Sorry about that, everyone. I'm still getting used to this green screen thing. Okay, so I have one key. Alright, so that worked and the key disappeared. I'm going to try that one more time and make sure the key appears properly. And then we'll call this part done. For those of you that have been with me most of the morning, you'll be happy to know that I'm about done killing this guy. So you can stop watching me kill him. So the key showed up. The key shows up here. And I rescued the kitten, and he disappears. And I have one kitten rescued. Alright, the last, I think I'm going to move that over a little bit because that guy's a little too close to the edge. Probably because I did this with the warrior dude instead of the prisoner dude. The kitty dude. They're all dudes. So let me change this guy to be... I need to move all of this stuff over a bit. Yeah, it's going to look a little weird if I ever get 6 keys. I just don't see that ever happening. It would be odd. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'll come back and revisit that later if it becomes a problem. So that looks good. I know I totally lied to you guys. I said this is the last time I'm going to do it. I just want to see it one more time. Okay, so that looks good. Kill this guy one more time. So that looks good. Okay, so that all looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, now we're going to look at the win conditions for the rescue dungeon. Not sure if we even have... we even have the win conditions done. Alright, so here is where we rescue the dude. Probably in this animation we need to check and see if the player won the game as a result of saving that kitten or whatever it is. I'm just trying to remember how we trigger the game being won. It looks like the only way we do it now is based on this quest treasure acquired. Let's see all the usage of this guy. Yeah, so I think what I'm going to do is just change the name of this message that's broadcast when you get the quest item to be, instead of quest treasure acquired, I'm going to change it to player one game. So now I should be able to in that animation prisoner rescued animation, yeah, that's it. So at the very end of this guy, when he's done all of its other stuff, it's a little weird that we do this in the animation, but what we want to do is we don't want the game to end until the animation is done playing. So that's why we do it in the animation. There's really no other easy way to do it, at least with the system that we put together for this game. Probably, if we were to write another game, we'd probably do it differently, but this is the system that we have in place here. So let's see. So I want to do that, but only if they actually won. So at this point, this guy gets fired here, and we've said number of prisoners rescued. So if you just need to check the number of prisoners rescued. Nope, not the number of keys. Yeah, you know what, I need to, well, okay, sorry. This isn't right, I need to fix this, but I'm just gonna make sure this works for now. It's kind of my approach to things, is get something working and then iterate until it's the way you like. So it may not be perfect when it's working, but once it's working, then you can make it better from there. It's much easier that way than trying to get everything perfect the first time. Okay, so that should do it. So I'm going to cheat here. I'm going to edit the save game and say that I've already rescued 2 prisoners. And that way when I rescue this prisoner, it should say I've won the game. You may have noticed this is our saved dungeon file. Right now it's just a JSON file, so it's really easy to edit. When we get closer to the final version of the game, probably will gzip or zip this file so that its text files are just really big. I'm not really worried about people editing it. If people really want to cheat, I guess they can cheat. We've talked about maybe encrypting the file. No, I should have done that in the other order. But right now in JSON, with the JSON format, it's very easy to edit and do stuff like I just did, which is cheat. So now it says, hey, you've rescued 2 out of 3 monsters. So I get my key, now I've got my key. So I should come down here, this should play the animation, and then I should win. And I did in fact win. So I killed some stuff. Oop, that's broken. I guess there's no mouse over for those. So that's a little messed up too. Been working a lot on the mouse overs so that they don't go off the screen. These are okay. Probably just need to move the where it shows over so it looks like it's next to the badge. This isn't terrible. Okay. So I won. I've got a new quest, which is once again rescue 3 kittens. So that looked pretty good. So now I'm able to win the game. Okay, so now, like I said earlier, all the basics are in place for the rescue dungeon. So now I just want to tidy it up a bit. I think I'm probably off the screen again. So that's what I'm going to do. Hey, it was 17 people watching. Hey, how's everyone doing? Working on my game, We Slay Monsters. It's available on Steam. The link's down there on our Twitch page if you want to check it out. I think it's a lot of fun. Been working on it for about 3 years now. We work on it part-time, so we're indie developers with full-time jobs. So this is our passion, is to make games, and we've been making this one for a long time. Hey, thanks. I appreciate it. Glad some people are chatting. Usually there's at least a few people saying stuff, but glad you like it. Okay, So, what was I saying? Right, so we've got rescue dungeons now. Right, I need to fix a few things about them. One thing is, we need to save, we need to persist some more stuff. I'm going to close all this. All right, so we're already persisting the number of prisoners that have been rescued. The thing that we need to persist is the number of prisoners to rescue. And the reason we're doing this is so that we can vary that, so that missions can basically have some random elements. You can save between 3 and 6 prisoners in a dungeon, so we can randomize that. Right now it's hard-coded in the mission. So we have different kinds of missions. So there's a rescue mission, there's a random mission, there's a story mission, there's a campaign mission, arena missions. So right now you can see the number of prisoners is hard-coded, and the types of prisoners that you need to rescue is also hard-coded. So next thing I'm going to be doing is randomizing the number of prisoners that you have to save, and then randomizing the type of prisoner that you save for the mission. So right now, I mean, you're going to rescue kittens and princesses and townsfolk and old men, just random wacky stuff like that. Maybe some of the other pets that we have, like dogs or chickens, or not chickens, giant weird fat birds. Sorry. Still not getting used to this green screen. I mean, I'm still getting used to the green screen, so when I lean forward like that, it screws up the video. So I'm looking over here at my other screen to make sure that it's fixed now when I lean back, and it's about a 30-40 second delay. So that's why I'm just talking instead of not doing anything. Nope. Yep, that looks like it fixed it. Okay. So now I need to persist this. Okay. Hydrate map summary. So these are basically the objects that are JSONified. So they're fairly simple objects with just primitive types or enums, and then these are turned into JSON and then turned back into the objects used into our game. Prisoners to rescue. Okay, so that will take care of persisting the number of prisoners that need to be rescued. So now in that animation that I just did, instead of comparing it to the current mission, we're going to compare it to the map summary. And get rid of this guy. Oops. So if I've rescued all the prisoners I need to rescue, then end the game. So that's good. So now what I can do is randomize the number of prisoners that are in each rescue dungeon. So I want between 3 and, say 3 and 5 right now. It's exclusive. The range on next is inclusive and exclusive, so that's between, the number I'll get there is 3, 4, or 5. And every mission is assigned a seed, so I'm using that seed for my random object so that I get the same result. The same seed will produce the same results every time. So now, actually just gonna, right. Whoa, I did not see if everything compiled, which it did not. That's better. So there it is. Now let's rescue 4 sad kittens. So it's choosing a random number to rescue. Let's make sure that it actually puts 4. It sure did. So it put 4 different prisoners in the dungeon. So 0, 4 cats to rescue. Just gonna wander around for a second. 7, 8, 9. I'm going to cheat and see where the kittens actually are on the map. If they're too far away, I'm not going to bother. Monster. Yeah, they're all pretty far away. The algorithm we have for the placing the kittens tries to place them far away from you and far away from each other, sort of to force the player to explore around the map. So it's a pretty good distribution. So I'm not going to bother to play and find all the kittens, but it looks like everything worked with that, so that's good. Now the one last thing I'm going to do is make sure that loading up the save game still uses the same number, so it should still show 4 kittens. Yep. So that looks good. So I'm going to commit those changes. Whoops. Alright, so now the last thing I'm going to do is actually add more things that can be rescued. And then I'll call this feature done. So right now we have sad kittens, so I need to go out and look at what art we have out there. Ray had done a bunch. Ray's our artist, so Ray has done a bunch of different things to rescue. So we use Dropbox when the artist does all this stuff. he saves them out as PNG files and throws them out on Dropbox, and then we pull them into the game. So, nope. So add that as a favorite. Okay, sorry. I'm still getting my Windows stuff set up the way I liked it. So every time I see something that isn't set up right, I'm going to go ahead and do it. For those of you that are just watching now, I've recently switched from, I'm actually running on a Mac, but I'm running Windows because I really got sick and tired of using MonoDevelop on Mac because it sucks. So I've switched to Visual Studio with ReSharper, and it's an amazing difference both in productivity and just everything else. It's just so much, it's a much better experience. So even though I'm a Mac guy, I'm using Windows to make the game now. All right, what was I doing? I was looking for, all right, so here's all of the characters Ray has done. I'm just gonna go ahead and grab all those. All right, so we've got a little girl, an old man, a princess. I think this is the Butch princess. She's funny. Yeah, it's like a punk rock princess. And then a warrior. I don't know why we need to rescue him, because he seems like he's more than capable of taking care of himself. But we'll see how that goes. I think I may end up using this guy as, I'm thinking we're going to add a hireling that you can find in the dungeon, or maybe if you rescue this guy, he will fight for you for a while. I don't know. Still trying to figure out how I want to do that. But let's go ahead and add these guys into our project. So I'm using Toolkit 2D instead of the built-in Unity 2D stuff. Mostly for legacy reasons. We started making this game 3 years ago when Unity didn't have good 2D support, so really your only choice was either roll your own or use Sprite Manager 2 or Toolkit 2D, and Toolkit 2D is, I was pretty impressed with it. So that's what we're using, and we're probably not going to change at this point. It's just way too much work. So I want to open up my, I need to add this to two places. So one is the Dungeon Sprite Collection. So characters, non-playable. The other thing that Toolkit 2D does for us is, you may have noticed that we've got a 1x and 2x size of all of our assets. And basically, if you're running on like a high resolution screens, or for the iPad, which we haven't worked on the iPad version in a long time, but we're still going to support it eventually. But if you're running on even on a high resolution, like a Retina display on my MacBook, it will detect that and use the higher resolution graphics. So it just looks a lot nicer if you're running in high resolution. So I'm going to grab all these dudes. Who else do we have in here? I think that's it. We've got the rogue teacher. So that'll add all those guys to the project. Let's set their alignment point to the bottom and then commit. Now this these sprite sheets have gotten pretty big because there's a ton of characters, and all of the dungeon tiles are in this same sprite sheet, so it takes a while to process. Yes, I agree, Super Rabbit Boy. Toolkit 2D is awesome. I'm just sad that the maintainer is Looks like he's moved mostly onto Unreal, so there haven't been any updates to Toolkit 2D for a long time. And he's spending a ton of his time working on Paper 2D for the Unreal Engine. So I'm a little worried about its future, even though I think it's superior in some ways to the built-in Unity 2D stuff. Okay, so that's finished now. So I'm going to go ahead and add my new guys. So we'll add I'm going to do the little girl, the old man, and the princess for now. This is just a way of mapping the names of things to their class names for a variety of reasons. Mostly having to do with serialization. We wanted to externalize the names of all the monsters from the classes themselves. So basically you wouldn't have to have an instance of a little girl in order to get the name of the little girl. So that's why this class exists. And then monster sprites. So this maintains a mapping of the actual sprites to use. Prisoner. Can't spell for crap. All right, so these need to look like pets. So what is the little girl called? She is called NPC underscore little girl. Actually just, whoa, not sure what happened there. Well, that's okay. I'll just type it. Okay, so that should be all I need now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my rescue mission to rescue little girls. And everything should work. If you've watched me for any length of time, or you've watched me in the past, I always say this should work, and then it never does. So I really need to learn to stop saying that. But rescue 4 little girls. So there's a little girl there. So it looked like that worked. Let me make sure that the sprites that are being rendered on the map are actual little girl sprites. Looks not right. Oh, right. Because it was part of my save game was the kittens, so of course it still had kittens on the map. Of course. Rescue 4 little girls. So there's the little girls. And there's the little girls there. I thought I could unhide the fog of war. But anyway, I believe it worked. I know where I was looking for. Yep. The correct sprite is there. Alright, so now I'll add my other two. I've got a little girl, I've got an old man. And I'm going to go ahead and call her a punk princess. Because it's funny. Those guys here. Punk. And I just realized I probably have a bug in my thing. So I've got a method to turn things into plurals, and I don't think it handles turning man into men. So this stuff is probably all terrible, but I've just been adding exceptions as I run across them. And also, I've been cleaning up all my code as I run across stuff that hasn't been cleaned up yet, using ReSharper. So as I hit a class that I haven't touched, I'm reformatting it. Culture specific, yeah, that's totally cool. ReSharper's warning me that the use of that is culture specific, and I'm pretty sure it'll be alright, since I'm using it to parse out colors and text. Okay, so then that will turn man into men. So let's make sure that that looks good. Oh, I need to add those to the sprites as well. Called NPC Old Man. And then the other guy is called NPC Princess. All right, the other thing we can do is we also have some puppies. So I'm going to add puppy as something that we've got sad kittens, so I'm going to make it sad puppies too, which use the same There's another plural case that I'm probably not handling. So sad puppy. Going to move this guy. Because he's not a pet. He's a prisoner. He just happens to share the same sprite. How about we rescue gray puppies? So sad puppies are going to be puppy number 2. All right, and then I need to add that to my names of things. I'll move this guy too. Okay, so that's, we got sad kittens, sad puppies, little girls, old men, and punk princess. P-U-P-P-Y. I wonder if my plural thing is going to handle that. If it ends in Y. Nope. So take off the Y and change it to IES. These are the fun things you get when you're doing programmatic generation of content. You have to handle all kinds of stuff. And maybe there's a better way to do this. I haven't really spent much time. This is probably one of the areas that we can clean up. There's actually a pretty cool library out there. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, for generating text for procedural games, and there just isn't a version that runs with Unity. Someone was going to be porting it, so I'll check, but it does all of this stuff and handles all the plural cases, and it's pretty darn nice. But I'm not using it, so I'm going to test a couple of these out real quick and make sure the plurals look good. So let's say old man.